You know those movies you see out of some kind of fan obligation to consume every piece of superhero media available, only to completely forget that it exists almost immediately after you see it? For me, and many of you, that movie is Elektra. Now, we at JoBlo are forever fans of all types of movies. From big budget cinema to the best indie movies you never saw, we try to find the best in everything. But this movie...
Yeah. I hated that.
To be fair, this movie came out in 2005, which was technically a time when comic book movies hadn't quite found their footing. Oh wait.
I'm Batman.
In either case, we're here and we're ready to revisit the only planned Daredevil spin-off that actually made its way into the Marvel canon. This movie has some pleasant surprises for sure, and plenty of comic book lore to look forward to, no matter how strange and out of place some of it seems. And also, if you like this sort of content, why not subscribe to our JoBlo Originals channel for more of the same?
The task is yours. Completed.
But at the end of the day, we only have one question to answer here on the show. How does this movie hold up against the wonders and spectacles of today's MCU? Let's find out in today's episode of Marvel Revisited. Elektra was written by Mark Steven Johnson, who penned the Daredevil film that we revisited in a previous episode. The film is canon to the Daredevil movie, and there are some very weak references to the events of the movie, including a half-baked explanation for how the hell Elektra survived being stabbed through the chest by Bullseye and left for dead by Daredevil.
They're already deady.
While Daredevil wasn't really my bag, I did find the rewatch to be fairly enjoyable at times, and I couldn't help but hope for the same experience with this movie. But I must say, for everything Daredevil got wrong in that movie, Elektra did even worse, and with even less excitement. The movie went into production in 2004 after the release of Daredevil and was plagued with behind-the-scenes issues from the very start. According to Jennifer Garner, she didn't even want to make this movie, but she was legally obligated to star in it as part of her Daredevil contract.
All right, fine. You know what? Look, you want to take time off, take time off. Call me when you want to work.
While Garner was not interested, fans were clamoring for an Elektra movie since 1987 when Frank Miller released the iconic Elektra Assassin series, which stoked Hollywood's interest. In fact, there were original plans since the 1990s to produce an Oliver Stone-directed film based on the beloved graphic novel, but all plans for the film were cancelled after the rights to the character were acquired by 20th Century Studios, or 20th Century Fox as they were still known then. With a limited budget and limited time to produce this contractually obligated movie, director Robert Bowman knew he would have to make some sacrifices in the action department to avoid overspending and under-delivering. This resulted in a movie that Bowman called a character study and, quote, a story about a character learning about compassion.
No, you look great.
Bowman definitely allocated some of the film's budget to securing an eclectic and interesting cast. For better or worse, this cast is wild. We see Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa as Master Roshi, and you probably recognize this face as the ruthless and evil Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat.
Finish him!
We also see Terrence Stamp as Stick, which was definitely a pleasant surprise for me seeing this movie again. Not only because I dig Terrence Stamp, but also because Stick is one of my favorite mentor characters in all of Marvel Comics. I like this casting actually, and it's a shame that Stamp is too old to play Stick again because I would be all for that.
43216 with the bank Marseille.
You don't need to call all your shots, Pops, just the first one.
That is the first one.
Rounding out the cast is Goran Visnjic, Will Yoon Lee, and Colin Cunningham, and some of these actors really know what kind of movie they're in and give some of the better performances in this movie.
Half to the bank on the Isle of Man. You know, you can do a lot better in mutual funds. I know a guy who could put you in touch with this. Or not, but...
And speaking of performances, this video will reach more people with your help, so please drop a like on the video and subscribe for the best in movie content. With a tight budget, an even tighter schedule, and a team of filmmakers committed to the project, it was time to go into production on Elektra. So, the movie opens with an obligatory exposition dump to fill the gaps in the story that couldn't be filmed. It definitely does not start off very gripping or engaging, and unfortunately it more or less sets off the bland tone for the rest of the movie. But the setup is simple. There's a mysterious weapon in the world that's being sought after by multiple parties who have different motives and nefarious agendas to use it. It's established that Elektra is working as an assassin for hire who has grown skilled beyond all of her enemies. She's somewhat of a legend among criminals as a lady in red who whispers in their ear just before offing them. Elektra is immediately portrayed as cold and focused with no interest in any type of personal connection. We also see a lot of flashbacks in this movie which establish that Elektra spent a period of time training with Stick and learning the ways of Stick's instinctive fighting style.
You had no right to drag me into this, Stick. This whole war with the hand, everything, it's all about her, isn't it?
It's also revealed that Elektra has some kind of supernatural ninja powers that are never fully explained, and she can like see into the future as well as like teleport. Elektra takes out an entire house full of bad guys, and then we meet her agent, McCabe, played by Colin Cunningham, who offers her a job taking out 2 targets who she knows nothing about. When Elektra travels to an island to get close to her targets, she grows to know more about them, and finds a surge of empathy which changes the course of her entire job. Elektra's relationship with the father and daughter duo develops to a point of pure sympathy, which causes Elektra to go rogue on the job in order to protect the people she was hired to kill.
You really kill people for a living?
Yeah.
The father and daughter are Mark and Abby Miller, a mysterious pair whose backgrounds are unknown to Elektra, but play a much bigger part in the story than they initially let on. The rest of the movie follows a journey to safety and uncovering the movie's ultimate mystery. What is this weapon everyone's after, and what do these people have to do with it? Now, the constant flashbacks in this movie are less enlightening and more annoying. They don't explain enough to justify how many of them there are, and they certainly aren't entertaining enough to be a treat within the film. However, one thing that I do enjoy from the second act of this movie is the bond being established between Elektra and Abby. While I don't think the performances from these 2 actresses is particularly special, I do appreciate some of those moments that the 2 share. For example, there's a scene when Abby wants to learn some of Elektra's self-defense methods, and Elektra takes this as an opportunity to teach her how to meditate. This shows Elektra's true belief in the practice of self-discipline over defense, and also her internal desire to nurture a peaceful existence for Abby. Okay, back to the story. Now, one of the parties after the mysterious weapon is the Hand, a criminal organization that you're probably familiar with if you watched any of the Netflix Defender shows like Daredevil or Iron Fist.
Oh, that's just great. The Hand, of all people. So who's gonna help you out on this one, eh?
And the Hand hires a group of assassins to hunt down Elektra and the Millers and extract the weapon from them. This ragtag group consists of Tattoo, a man whose tattoos can leave his body and act as whatever figure they're modeled from. For example, if he has a tattoo of a bear, which, spoiler alert, he does, a full-sized magic bear can leave from the ink of his body and function as a real thing. It's scary. We also get Stone, who basically has the same power set as Luke Cage, but does exist as his own character in the comics. And we get Typhoid, who more or less can just poison living things, including humans, with a toxic dust that she dispenses. Take it from me, ladies and gentlemen, you do not want to make out with this lady. This is where the movie has the best action. There's multiple fights between Elektra and the Hand's assassins, which aren't great, but they do offer more than the rest of the movie does. It's revealed to Elektra that Abby is indeed the weapon that everyone is after. Abby is actually Treasure, a character with immense power and who has the potential to serve as a weapon. Elektra is unfortunately not able to save Abby's life as she falls prey to the evil forces hunting her, only to find out that one of Elektra's other vaguely explained superpowers is bringing people back from the f***ing dead.
You wanna pull the trigger or should I do it?
What? Another interesting reveal is that Stick is actually the one who hired Elektra anonymously to catch Treasure as part of the final test in Elektra's training. This came out of nowhere, but instead of feeling like a true surprise, it feels more like a cheap twist that exists only to seal up some plot holes and give Terrence Stamp more to do.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Not a fan of this reveal in any way, and honestly, it just makes the movie feel even more rushed. So in the end, Elektra revives Abby and shares a passionate kiss with Mark and gets stoked on her newfound moral compass, which promises to lead her on more heroic journeys in the future. A future which, thank God, we did not have committed to screen.
That's messed up.
I think through rewatching this movie, the biggest takeaway that I got from it is that some movies function better as shorter, less bloated stories. This movie seemed to have an interesting concept similar to Logan, with its main hero being forced to put their own goals aside to help guide a young child through dangerous terrain and ultimately provide safety and a peaceful future. But see, I think the ideas are good, but the execution leaves me wondering if this movie was just a mistake. And fans seem to agree. The film was released in 2005 after a lackluster marketing campaign due to the film's low budget, and there was even an extended director's cut released on DVD and VHS which featured additional scenes, including a cameo from Ben Affleck as Daredevil in a scene that was supposed to be in the theatrical cut, but was removed prior to its release. The film was met with mostly negative reviews, with some praising the performances of the cast, but ultimately blaming the overly serious script for the movie's inconsistent tone and generally depressing mood. One critic stated, "Jennifer Garner inhabits her role with earnest gusto, but Elektra's tone-deaf script is too self-serious and bereft of any intelligent dialogue to provide engaging thrills." This of course sums up the feelings of most fans towards the film. However, the director's cut has given the film a few extra brownie points in the eyes of comic book nerds, and yeah, it's still not great, but it is an improvement. The movie's theatrical take totaled just $24 million and was the lowest grossing movie featuring a Marvel character since Howard the Duck. Yikes! Director Rob Bowman states that he expected the movie to be more of a hit, stating that he did the best he could and was proud of the movie he turned out. He quotes, "Everybody loves ice cream, but not everybody loves chocolate ice cream. And if you can't handle people not liking what you do, you shouldn't be in this business." Bravo, Bowman. Bravo. Look, I agree, there are some films that just aren't for everyone, and Elektra was definitely not for most of us. But as always, I'm only one part of this conversation, and I'm curious to know what you think of Elektra, so comment below. And so, my friends, 18 years after the release of this movie, and after digging it up from the Marvel time capsule and watching it, and rewatching it, and spending all day talking about it, I can honestly say that Elektra is just one of the many pre-MCU films that we'll look back on, geek out on, and watch with our rose-colored movie glasses. And it still didn't do anything for me. Honestly, I'm sorry. 5 out of 10. This movie's pretty bad.
God damn it.
All of us here at JoBlo want to wish you a wonderful day and hope you'll check in soon for even more Marvel chaos here on Marvel Revisited. We'll see you soon.
Sorry.
Yeah,